Hello and welcome to another session of Groundbreakers Live. I'm your host Javed Mohammed, and I'm very honored to have with us Jayashree Kumar, who is presenting at DevNexus. She's a staff software engineer at IBM India. So Jayashree, welcome.
Hi, Javed.
Welcome. And you are presenting at DevNexus with your Complete Idiot's Guide to Cloud Native. So Jayashree, how did you even come up with this idea of this subject?
Okay. So as I was attending the conferences and I would attend the different talks related to the cloud native subject, even though I felt like and I understood them, there was a gap always. There were some basics that I would always struggle upon. So I thought, I was wondering if it was only me or my other colleagues as well. So I went around the strip to check each and everyone, asking them, what do you think Node is? How is it related to our application? What do you know what council is? Do you know what linkerd is? Or do you know what service mesh does other than Kubernetes? This kind of questions triggered my interest. This kind of questions to others made me realize that we know the subject, but we don't know it fully. So that's why I decided, let me go back to the basics, get us the complete all these terminologies that we keep using in our day-to-day cloud life. I thought I'll revisit them and give them a meaning, a very simple, relatable intention behind these terminologies. That's what was my intention for.
Well, I love the concept because also working in software, I also feel the same way that there are many times I'm dealing with concepts. I have a general idea, but if I have to dig deeper, maybe I don't, I cannot fully articulate it. And so it's great that you're actually doing this. So Jayshree, so help us understand, so what are, and I know it's a very broad subject, so in terms of cloud native, but what are kind of the key pillars that you feel, and again, I'm not saying this is going to be inclusive of everything, but what are the key concepts that we do need to understand?
The very first concept would be containers. Even though we know what containers are, do we know that it's not just related to microservices, but you can also bring your complete monolith into a container? That kind of differentiations, we that is the main step that I would suggest all of us to understand. We go about reading the blogs where every cloud practitioner or platform or support provider would write their blog based on the product that they are giving, but that's not the complete picture you would be getting. Most of the times cloud native is linked with microservices. You would always see microservices being very tightly coupled, and a normal regular developer would think, okay, this is for microservice. I don't have time to cut my applications or restitch my application into microservices, so cloud is not for me. That's a very wrong concept. Unless we know what is out there, we could never proceed further. So I would say, go read about everything that's there. So which our cloud native computing foundation is a very big help. It lists out, it lists out 10, it has a trail map which lists out how you can get started, like by getting into containerization, you doing a CI/CD, and then what Kubernetes, what orchestration engine you need, or how the service mesh comes and fills up the gap that Kubernetes actually has, or how you should be using your logs to improve your application. It gives a guide to us. It's better to start following these guides before we go to in depth of any particular product.
Okay.
I
So
think I
while you were
answered.
speaking, like my mind, and I was just wondering if we could just pause a little bit. You know,
Mhm.
if you look at, I don't know what the actual numbers are, but there are many legacy applications out there. People are still running even on mainframes. I'm from that dinosaur age. But the point is this, and you talked about monolithic applications, and again, there are many of those out there. So, you know, what in your mind, it's different if you're a startup and you're coming up with a kind of a new SaaS application. You come on, do something in cloud native with all the things in using containers and Kubernetes, roll it out using CI/CD. That's all good and well. But considering that we live in kind of a hybrid world and it's not all one or the other, how do we even go about taking some of those first steps? And I think you listed out this, the foundation and everything. But walk us through a little bit. How do we bootstrap ourselves into that?
Yes, right. So that is where even I come from, because I'm from IBM, and most of our clients are on these kind of legacy systems, and it's very difficult for them to start thinking in modern way or taking their huge application and cutting down. So, uh, okay, you said how what steps we should be taking. So. Understanding what is there in the cloud space, and uh, there are projects which will help you even if you are just a monolith who wants to lift and shift your application from on-prem to cloud native.
Oh,
They are there to handhold you. It's not just finding a cloud provider and moving your application there, but how
mhm,
you can take advantage of the containers. Imagine if I have a regular Java application and I would go into application server like say WebSphere or WebLogic, that wouldn't work. And if I want to scale, that also wouldn't happen. So that's where you understanding what products or what frameworks are out there to help you. If you could choose your Open Liberty or a micro profiler. On top of that framework, you can put your applications. Slowly you could start it very slowly by um, um, like I said, lift and shift onto cloud. But along with that, try to bring in the other frameworks, keep
mhm.
adding them into your application and see what works for you, and only then proceed. In 2000, Amazon was still on this traditional monolith way. It took them 8 years until 2008 to move from there to the complete microservice structure. They went through a lot of issues, but that's still okay. You can i- we are as we are software developers, we should keep constantly evolving our softwares which will help our customers. So you'll just get started on the process. So mm, I would start by saying go to your basics, understand the products that are there, pick and choose which will help you. Give it a try, give a trial run to see if those really suit your application or not. If they add value to your application, only then proceed further. And it's okay to invest into this cloud native space, researching and exploring the cloud native space, because it's going to give you a huge benefit in a longer run.
Okay. So on this journey of yours, and I really appreciate the fact that you're sharing this journey, not only are you learning and growing, but you're sharing it with others. So what's been for you the biggest challenge, and also what's been the biggest reward?
Yeah, the biggest challenge has been reading through all the cloud practitioners' blog, trying to get the commonality between every different product and project to arrive at a single or a complete whole understanding of one concept. That had been a challenge, but once I understood that concept, I felt so happy that, oh, this is how you could be using these technologies. This is how a service, I mean, this is what Kubernetes was lacking, and that's why service mesh came into picture. It was differentiating the actual points and the business value, added business value between the blogs and the topic. I mean, information available out there was my
Mhm.
challenge, and that also turned out to be my reward.
Okay, all right. Well, it sounds like, Jayashree, it sounds like a really exciting presentation. We encourage all the viewers actually to check it out at DevNexus. So that is it. Thank you so much for coming and for sharing.
Thanks, Javed, for having me
Okay,
here. Yeah, bye.
bye.